Good morning. I'll now call to order the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau Advisory Committee meeting being held on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, starting at 10:03, being held both in person in Sacramento with a site in Sacramento and virtually via WebEx. I will now ask Chief May at this time to help call roll to establish a quorum.
We need to pause the meeting for just one moment. We're having technical difficulties. Okay, sorry about that. We are back.
Thank you.
All right, so good morning. As I call your name, please indicate if you are here. Bertha Sanchez Hayden,
Here.
Elizabeth Ichikawa,
Here.
Joyce Anthony,
Here.
James Moore,
Here.
Linda Ng.
Here.
With 5 members present, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Chief May. I would now like to transition to the third item on our agenda. I would like to ask committee members and Bureau staff to introduce themselves. I'll get us started. My name is Bertha Sanchez Hayden. I'm the chair of the advisory committee. I'm also pleased to announce that this meeting we're joined by a new advisory committee member. Joyce Anthony is a professional fiduciary and was appointed last Thursday by the governor. Welcome, Ms. Anthony. Ms. Anthony, would you like to introduce yourself or say anything?
Yes, I've been a professional fiduciary since 2005. Prior to licensing, my office is Prime Fiduciary Services in Los Altos in the Bay Area. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, welcome. Vice Chair Elizabeth Ichikawa.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Ichikawa. I'm the vice chair, and I fill the court investigator role on the advisory committee. I work for the court in Solano County.
Thank you. James Moore.
Morning. My name's James Moore. I am a professional fiduciary, mainly operate out of Sacramento County, and I've been doing that for about 25 years.
Thank you. Linda Ning.
Yes, thank you. My name is Linda Ng. I am a second year's advisory committee member, and I'm also an enroll agent, not in the fiduciary capacity, but on the tax professional side for 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca May.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca May. I am the Bureau Chief of the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau. I was appointed in 2017. Thank you.
Thank you. Helen Joffrey.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Helen Joffrey, and I'm legal counsel for the Bureau.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We will now, and welcome again to Joyce. We will now transition to item number 4. Please allow me to briefly address this agenda item. California law prohibits advisory committee members from discussing or taking action on any matter not on the agenda. However, this item offers an opportunity to the public to comment on items that are not listed on today's agenda. Please be aware that public comment during this agenda item should provide information to the advisory committee members and is not meant to be a discussion between advisory committee and the public. Though it may seem at times that the advisory committee bureau or members or bureau staff are not being responsive, following these guidelines is critical to ensuring the rules of the Open Meetings Act are followed. Before the committee asks for public comment, I ask individuals making comments to not discuss pending complaints, pending licensing applications, or pending disciplinary actions that may come before the Bureau's legal counsel. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications by potentially providing information to the Bureau's legal counsel outside of the administrative record in a case. The committee strongly asks you to also respect the privacy of others by not revealing the names, other personal information, and the conditions of any individuals involved in any case or complaint. The advisory committee can receive comments regarding the Bureau's process in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific cases. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you may request that the item be considered for future agenda items. However, a request does not obligate the Bureau to fulfill the request. If your comment is related to an item on today's agenda, please wait until we get to that agenda item. Comments at this time are only for items not on the agenda. To allow the committee sufficient time to conduct its full schedule of business, public comments will be limited to 2 minutes apiece. Please do not duplicate or repeat the comments of a previous speaker. I will now turn to public comment. Since we are having a hybrid meeting, I will start with public comment on each agenda item, including this one, with individuals attending the meeting in Sacramento, followed by individuals attending the meeting via WebEx. I would now I'd like to invite members of the public attending the meeting in Sacramento to provide comments about this agenda item. Moderator, is there anyone present in Sacramento that appears to be requesting to make comments?
This is the moderator. That will be something for somebody in the room to answer.
Hi, this is Rebecca. There's no one in the room right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Since there are no public comments from those in attendance in Sacramento, I will now ask our moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
This is the moderator. We are now accepting public comment via WebEx. This is the time to raise your hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of your screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. And for our mobile device users, you have 3 different screens and only one of them shows that hand button. So in order to find your hand button, you may need to tap the ellipses button, that ... at the bottom, in order to find the appropriate screen. Also available, we have a Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, where if you are unable to speak or raise a hand, then type the word comment into the Q&A box, and we will queue you up for your turn to make a comment. I will try to address any questions that show up in the Q&A box, but please note it is not a means to address the board directly, or the Bureau directly, excuse me. With that said, as mentioned before, you will be given 2 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. Our first request comes from Jody. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Can I start speaking now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, sorry. This committee has said that naming names will taint the process of investigating any current complaints, and that's the last thing we want to do. Your mission is to protect consumers. In general terms, we as the consumers are not being protected. For decades, California corrupt fiduciaries have committed crimes against our elderly and special needs children for their own self-enrichment. These fiduciaries, with the assistance of their colluding attorneys, have committed fraud against the courts by filing false documents. They, with the assistance of judges, are overturned pre-existing trust documents, advance health care directives, wills, and powers of attorney. They suppress the value of properties before the forced sale of properties by fraudulent appraisals. They force the sale of multi-generational properties with claims of the conservatee's need for 24/7 care and the cost of the administration of the conservatorship. Any family that lives with the conservatee will be evicted. The conservatee's care is of no concern for them. The actual need is to ensure the payment of their abusive, inflated fees and those of all their crony vendors and attorneys they bring in. All of this is done
30
under
seconds.
the power of law. There's a group that runs Southern California At the last hearing, you said that you were backlogged and adding more investigations in spring of 2024. Well, it's spring. Have you accomplished that? We desperately need you to follow through with investigations and complaints. We pray the day of change for action is coming. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Farnaz R. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Without repeating what Ms. Jody Sussman, the presenter before me, said, that I'm just going to second on whatever she said and allow the rest of the people make comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Thank you, moderator. And thank you to all the individuals of the public who provided comment. And thank you again, moderator, for facilitating that. I will now transition to item number 5 on our agenda. Rebecca, can you please read the Bureau's mission statement?
To protect consumers through licensing, consumer education, and enforcement of the Professional Fiduciaries Act, and promote and uphold competency and ethical standards across the profession.
Thank you. Any comments from the committee members? As there are no comments from the committee members, I would like to invite members of the public attending the meeting in Sacramento to provide comments about this agenda item. Chief May, since you're in the room, may I ask, is there anyone present who would like to make a comment?
There's no one indicating that they'd like to make a comment at this time.
Thank you, Chief. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are once again open for public comment, this time on agenda item 5, I believe. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. And mobile device users, please hit that ... the ellipses button at the bottom if you're having trouble finding your hand button. We're going to take comments in the order that they are received. And once again, you'll be given 2 minutes to speak with a 30-second warning. And our first comment comes from Farnaz R. Hold on just a moment. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello.
Hello. Go ahead, please.
My comment or maybe question is for Ms. Rebecca May, since she's available. I mean, that's the comment that she made regarding the mission and the bureau process in order to obtain a record, the non-public record of a professional fiduciary that it's licensed through the bureau. What's the process and how the court order to provide those documents is being processed at? Thank you.
This is legal, if I may. Chair?
I apologize. Yes, please.
Thank you. That's a question that can be answered perhaps by calling the office and pursuing a public records request. If it's not something that's available to the public, then we will not be able to release it. But that is not a question that we can answer regarding this agenda item or this particular forum.
Thank you, Council. Moderator, we will return back to public comment.
All right. Next on the list, we have Jody. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello, since this is about the consumers and what your mission statement is, we, the consumers, are disheartened and appalled to find many of the corrupt fiduciaries' cronies are the ones you glorify as keynote speakers at your conventions. From the realtors to the attorneys to the judges to the appraisers to the medical professionals that provide fraudulent diagnosis. They are all intertwined and work against families with no regard to human life or suffering. Some have even claimed that there is no conflict of interest between them, yet the fiduciaries share offices with their realtors and attorneys they hire and collude with. It has also been alleged that judges even vacation with them. Our fear is that you don't protect the consumer. How many decades of complaints have to be made before there is any actual accountability? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moderator, are there any additional public comments?
Yes, hold on just a moment, please. Bear with me just a moment longer. I'm seeking answers from about repeated comments.
Moderator, we can go ahead and accept a repeated 2 minutes at this time.
All right, hold on just a moment. Our next request comes from Fernez. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
In response to Attorney Helen, I'm sorry, I didn't get her last name. I believe my answer was not correctly answered, my question. According to the Bureau page, court document, if those public documents, non-public, it has to be requested through the subpoena and the documents, and it can be provided if it's court order documents. So this is what it says, and it's been signed by Ms. Rebecca May. So it's not, doesn't say that you have to call our office and discuss it there. This is something it's been provided, and it has to be answered once the subpoena has been provided. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no additional public comments, moderator, then I would ask you to close public comments at this time.
That was our last request for comment at the moment.
Thank you to the individuals who provided comments, and thank you to our moderator for facilitating public comments. We will now transition to item number 6 on the agenda. Are there any suggested edits to the December 13th, 2023 meetings minutes by the committee members? Okay. If there are no suggested edits, is there a motion to approve the December 13th, 2023 minutes and allow the Bureau staff to make non-substantive edits if needed?
So move. This is Linda Ng.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
Jim Moore, I second the motion.
Thank you. Are there any discussions from the committee members? As there are no discussions from the committee members, I will now transition and like to invite members of the public attending the meeting in Sacramento to provide comments about this agenda item. May I ask, Chief May, are there any members of the public present in Sacramento?
There are no members of the public in Sacramento indicating that they wish to make comments on this agenda item at this time.
Thank you, Chief May. I will now ask the moderator call for public comments from any individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are once again open for public comment on the agenda item. If you would like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users dial *3 to raise a hand. And for our mobile device users, if you're having trouble finding that hand button, please hit the ... to find the appropriate page with the hand button. We're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator. Rebecca, can you please repeat the motion provided and followed by a roll call vote?
Yes, so the motion is to adopt the December 13th, 2023 meeting minutes as drafted and to allow Bureau staff to make non-substantive edits if needed. I will now take a roll call vote. Bertha Sanchez Hayden,
Yes, approve. Vote to approve.
Elizabeth Ichikawa,
Yes.
Joyce Anthony,
Abstain.
James Moore,
Yes.
Linda Ng,
Sorry, I muted myself. Yes.
thank you. So with 4 votes, the motion carries. The minutes will be posted as drafted to the Bureau's website shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. We will now transition to item number 7. I would like to invite Melissa Greer to present an update on behalf of the Department of Consumer Affairs Executive Office. Good morning, Melissa.
Hello and good morning. So I'd like to say once again, hello and good morning, Chair Sanchez Hayden, Vice Chair Ishikawa, Chief May, and members of the Advisory Committee. I'm Melissa Geer, Deputy Director for Board and Bureau Relations, and I appreciate the opportunity to share the Department of Consumer Affairs update this morning. Before I get started, I would like to congratulate and welcome recently appointed member Joyce Anthony to the Advisory Committee. Thank you for your service and commitment to protect California's consumers. Now I will show several updates and reminders. First, last month, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency officially welcomed Secretary Tamika Moss. DCA extends a warm welcome to Secretary Moss and looks forward to working with her. Next, boards and bureaus are reminded of the Department of Finance's budget letter that directed all state agencies under the governor to take immediate action to reduce current year expenditures, with certain exceptions for time-sensitive, emergency-related, mission-critical, or information security needs. DCA thanks boards for doing their part to reduce expenses and find cost savings as part of the collective state agency effort. If you have any questions, please contact Board and Bureau Relations. Also, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Steering Committee will hold its next meeting on April 5th. The committee will discuss DEI actions, priorities, and language access. The committee will also elect a new chairperson. DEI training opportunities continue to be a priority for the department. As you may recall, DCA Solid Trainers underwent a DEI certification program with the University of Massachusetts in April of last year. Before this certification, Solid offered 3 DEI-related courses for employees. After obtaining certification, Solid has developed 11 new courses. In 2023, DCA achieved 2,079 DEI course completions. I would like to remind the board of the training courses available to board members on DCA's learning management system, including a recent training edition titled How Leaders Navigate DEI Dialogue in the Workplace. The training is provided by Christopher Veal, who has 25 years of coaching, training, and leadership development experience. It offers tools for effective conversations, psychological safety, and how it impacts these conversations, and includes discussion around challenges leaders are facing. This training is available online and can be completed at your convenience. For questions, please contact Board and Bureau Relations. In addition, DCA Director Kirkmeyer was invited by the Senate Committee on Business Professions and Economic Development and testified last month at an informational hearing focused on interstate licensure compacts. Director Kirkmeyer discussed the impact of licensing compacts on consumer protection, licensees, and boards and bureaus, as well as the legislature. Director Kirkmeyer answered questions from the committee and provided examples demonstrating that compacts are not a one-size-fits-all solution. Rather, there are many factors for the legislature to consider, including the priorities of consumer protection and licensing standards that should not be compromised or lowered. 17 of the 36 or 47% of boards and bureaus under DCA offer some form of reciprocity already. With several bills recently introduced proposing licensure compacts for DCA boards, DCA will continue to work with the legislature on this issue. Likewise, in collaboration with the DCA Executive Leadership Team and the Executive Officer Bureau Chief Cabinet, DCA's Division of Investigation, or DOI, updated the complaint prioritization and referral guidelines for healing arts boards. The guidelines were shared with board leadership, and as of March 1st, 2024, these guidelines should be used when determining which complaints to refer to DOI and what can remain with each respective program. Of note, referral guidelines for the professions and vocations boards and bureaus are in progress and will be completed soon. As we look ahead, as a reminder, board and committee members are required to file a statement of economic interest or Form 700 within 30 days of their appointment annually and within 30 days of leaving office. This year's annual filing period covers the prior calendar year, January 1st through December 31st, 2023. The official deadline for filing is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. If you are required to complete a Form 700, you should have received an email from NetFile with instructions on how to file your annual Form 700 in January. If you have any questions or would like more information, please contact me. Secondly, our first board member orientation training of the year is next Wednesday, March 27th. This will be a virtual training. DCA board members are required to complete board member orientation training or BMOT within 1 year of appointment and reappointment. The training provides an important overview of the roles and responsibilities of a board member and access to the variety of resources and support DCA has to offer. DCA members can register through DCA's learning management system. The training will also be offered virtually on June 18th and October 22nd. Lastly, a quick update on the mandated sexual harassment training requirement. Based on our records, it appears that all of the advisory committee members have completed this mandatory training and nothing further is required at this time. However, all members will be required to take the 2-hour sexual harassment training, and there will be additional information available in the future. If you have any questions, please contact Board and Bureau Relations. As I close, again, thank you for this opportunity to join you today, and I welcome any questions from the advisory committee. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Are there any questions from advisory committee meeting members? If there are no questions, may I ask Ms. Greer again, what the last part of what you said about the 2-hour sexual harassment training? Can you repeat that again?
Yes. So in the future, DCA has changed the requirement for the sexual harassment training. And so everybody will be required in the future. So when need to become compliant again, everybody will be taking the 2-hour sexual harassment training. I know in the past, we had allowed the advisory committee members to take the 1-hour training. That has now changed. So if you were required last year to complete sexual harassment training and completed as an advisory committee member the 1-hour training, you are compliant.
Thank you so much for that clarification. Appreciate it. Are there any follow-up questions from the advisory committee members? No. I will ask the moderator to call for public comments from any, I will ask Chief May if she can assist me in determining if there's any individuals that are present in Sacramento that would like to make public comment.
There are no individuals in Sacramento indicating that they want to make public comment.
Thank you, Chief May. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are once again open for public comment, this time on agenda item 7. If you would like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. For our mobile device users having trouble finding that hand button, please hit the ... the ellipses button at the bottom of your screen to find the appropriate page with the hand button. We're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator. And thank you again, Melissa, for that very helpful update. I will now transition to item number 8 on our agenda. I would like to invite Andrew Trout from the Department of Consumer Affairs Budget Office to present the budget update.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Andrew Trudy, and I am the budget analyst with the DCA Budget Office. I'm here alongside Harmony DiFilippo, the budget manager. I want to thank the advisory committee for allowing me a few minutes to present on agenda item 8, the Bureau's expenditure projections and fund condition statement. First, I'm going to start with the Bureau's expenditures, page 12 on your materials. These projections are based on actual data through fiscal month 7. This report includes 2022-23 actual expenditures in green compared to 2023-24 budgeted and projected expenditures in blue and orange. As we move to the end of the document, you will see the board had a beginning-based budget of approximately $1.122 million and is projected to spend a total of $809,000, creating a reversion to the Bureau's fund of a little under $313,000 with reversion percentage of 27.81%. The next document I will be going over is the Bureau's revenue projections, page 13 of your materials. This report includes receipts collected through January, providing the projected revenue to year end. I will go further into the projections as we transition to the next slide. The next slide, page 14 of your materials, is the Bureau's fund condition statement. As a reminder, we read this document top to bottom and left to right. The left column is the Bureau's prior year 2022-23 actuals. It shows the Bureau began 2022-23 with a beginning balance of just over $317,000. Collected $657,000 in revenues with $78,000 from initial license fees, $544,000 from license renewals, and $35,000 was collected from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The Bureau expended $720,000, which includes $52,000 in direct draws to the fund for statewide pro rata and pension payments. The Bureau closed 2022-23 with $254,000 reserve balance, or about 3.6 months in reserve. For current year, the Bureau projects revenues of $779,000, which includes the new fee increases with approximately $97,000 projected from initial license fees and $646,000 from renewal fees, and $36,000 from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The Bureau's 2023-24 expenditures are based on the governor's budget with fiscal month 7 projections and is $855,000 between authorized expenditures and direct draws to the fund, leaving the Bureau with a fund balance of $178,000 or 1.8 months in reserve. The Budget Office will continue to monitor the Bureau's revenue and expenditures and report back to the Bureau with monthly expenditure projections as we continue to close fiscal months in the current fiscal year. A few things to note of the Bureau's fund condition. The fund condition is a snapshot in time. The fund condition statement includes the current year 2023-24 projected revenue with the projected increase for the application, initial licenses, and renewals. I will also note that the renewal fee is effective for renewals expiring after March 31st, 2024. You will also notice revenue is projected static in the out years. One of the main factors driving expenditure increases in future years is a result of personal service adjustments. These include general salary increases as well as employee compensation and retirement rate adjustments. The Budget Office includes a conservative ongoing 3% increase to expenditures on the fund condition statement to account for those ongoing incremental adjustments. Lastly, I would like to note to the Bureau that any future legislation or unanticipated events could result in the Bureau's need for additional resources, which would create cost pressure on the fund. The Budget Office will continue to monitor the Bureau's fund condition statement and keep the line of communication with the Bureau Chief open for any future needs or expectations. Again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present at today's meeting, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much for that overview. Are there any questions or any comments from the committee members? As there are no comments from the committee members, I would like to ask Chief May for her assistance in determining if there's any members of the public in Sacramento wishing to make a comment on this agenda item.
There do not appear to be any members of the public in Sacramento wishing to make a public comment.
Thank you, Chief May. Moderator, I will now ask them for you to call for public comments from any individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are open for public comment on agenda item 8, the budget. If you would like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. If you're a mobile device user and having trouble finding that hand button, please tap the the ellipses button at the bottom of your screen to find the appropriate page with a hand button. Looking around, I see no request for public comment. Do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. And thank you again, Andrew, for that update.
Thank you.
We will now transition to item number 9 on the agenda. I would like to invite Matthew Wainwright from the Department of Consumer Affairs Legislative Affairs Office to present the legislative update.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Wainwright, Legislative Manager in the Department of Consumer Affairs Division of Legislative Affairs, and I'm here to provide a legislative update. Can everyone hear me? Wonderful, I'm seeing some nods, that's great. Before we get into the bills on the agenda to discuss, I wanted to mention some important dates in the legislative calendar coming up. I believe this can be found on page 15 of your meeting materials. First up, April 26th will be the last day for policy committees to hear and report fiscal bills to fiscal committees introduced in their respective houses. May 3rd will be the last day for policy committees to hear and report non-fiscal bills introduced in their houses. May 17th will be the last day for fiscal committees to hear and report bills introduced in their house to the floor. And May 24th will be the last day for each house to pass bills introduced in that respective house. I should also note that August 31st, August 31st will be the last day for each house to pass bills, and September 30th will be the last day for the governor to sign or veto bills passed by the legislature this year. On to bills in the 2023-2024 legislative session. Just a reminder, this is the second year of a 2-year legislative session. The first bill is Assembly Bill 2148, introduced by Assemblymember Lowe, regarding professional fiduciaries. There's been some movement on this bill since we provided this information to Bureau staff. Since providing that information, the bill has been referred to the Committee on Business and Professions and is scheduled for a hearing in that committee on April 2nd. It's also worth noting that this bill was amended considerably yesterday, March 18th. But this bill would authorize the Bureau to issue a certificate of registration to a professional corporation to render professional fiduciary services. And this bill would also allow the Bureau to set the fee to obtain and annually renew a certificate of registration, as well as other provisions related to regulation of that registration. We're still sifting through the details of those, the changed language since it just came in yesterday. But that is where the bill stands at this moment. Another update, this was a bill from last year, Senate Bill 232 from Senator Nello regarding mental health services and the gravely disabled. This bill failed passage and is dead, but it would have expanded the definition of a gravely disabled in the Lanterman-Petras Short Act to include conditions wherein an individual is incapable of making informed decisions about or provide for their own medical care or other personal needs, and as a result, that person is at risk of substantial bodily harm, dangerous worsening of concomitant serious physical illness or significant psychiatric deterioration. This bill would have also specified that gravely disabled includes conditions in which a person is unable to provide informed consent to treatment due to anosognosia. And that concludes my legislative update. Thank you.
Thank you so much. May I ask, are there any questions from committee members? If there's no questions, I would like to ask if next time there's a legislative update, if AB 2800 might be something that comes under or might be of interest to the committee. I believe it's a new bill that's looking at changing the evidentiary standard in elder abuse matters from clear and convincing to preponderance.
All right, we'll look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will now ask for Chief May's assistance in determining if there's anyone in Sacramento that would like to provide public comment on this agenda item.
There does not appear to be anyone in the audience that would like to make public comment at this time.
Thank you, Chief May. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from any individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are open for public comment on agenda item 9. If you'd like to make a comment, please type the word comment in the Q&A box, or better yet, raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. And for our mobile device users, hit the ... button, the ellipses button at the bottom of your screen if you're having trouble finding the appropriate page with the hand button. We're going to wait just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you.
Wait, hold
Moderator.
on just a moment. We have a hand up.
Okay, thank you, moderator.
Bear with me just a moment. Jody, we're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak with a 30-second warning.
I just had one question. Are you going to try to bring in AB 2800? Is that what you're requesting? Because if it's only going to take a preponderance of evidence, not clear and convincing evidence about elder abuse, we as the consumers are going to be in even more trouble because of the fact that these attorneys use what would be considered a preponderance of evidence and accusations against us and our loved ones. That's my question is that what you just said? That is what the Fiduciary Bureau is supporting, is this new bill? Thank you.
Chair, do you mind if I make a comment? This is Rebecca.
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to respond to the most recent comment. What I understood, our chairwoman's request was to add AB 2800 to the agenda, to a future agenda for purposes of reviewing the legislation. The Bureau does not take support or opposition stances on legislation. Given that we fall under the Department of Consumer Affairs, it would be up to DCA to make a recommendation on any legislation. She's just simply asking to review the bill and not making any comment about whether the Bureau would be in support or opposition. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that's fucky sucky if they're trying.
My apologies. And with that, that was our only request for comment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to those who made public comment. Thank you for the moderator for supporting, and thank you, Mr. Wainwright, for providing us that update. We will now transition to item number 10 on the agenda item. Due to a scheduling conflict, a solid representative was not available to attend the meeting today. Therefore, we will table this agenda item and move on to item number 11. As we transition to item number 11, I will now ask Chief May to please present the Bureau updates.
Thank you. So I'll start with the application, licensing, and enforcement statistics. Before I dig into that, at our last meeting, we received feedback from an applicant whose application was not processed nearly as quickly as the average processing times that are provided in the statistics. It made me realize that I should probably clarify before providing the statistics that these numbers reflect data that the Bureau tracks and controls. So once an application is received by the Bureau, my apologies, once an application is received and approved by the Bureau then lets the applicant know that they are eligible to take the examination and also notifies the Center for Guardianship Certification. CGC is the Bureau's examination provider. CGC has its own application and background check requirements, which are separate from those of the Bureau's. And those processing times are outside of the Bureau's control and are not reflected in these statistics. So that said, we do work closely with CGC. So when we get feedback regarding the examination or CGC's processes, we share that with them. Having said all of that, the statistics are in the materials if you'd like to follow along with me. So this is a snapshot in time for the first 2 quarters of fiscal year 23 to 24. So this reflects July 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. So as of July 1st, 2008, the Bureau had issued 1,389 licenses. The number of licenses issued by status as of, and unfortunately there's a typo in the materials, I apologize. It should say as of December 31st, 2023, active licensees 832, inactive licensees 6, and retired licensees 11. The Bureau received 46 initial applications during this time frame and issued 29 licenses, initial licenses. The processing time for complete applications for the first quarter, 17 days from receipt to approval to sit for the exam, and 8 days from passing the exam to issuance of a license. And then for quarter 2, 21 days from receipt to approval to sit for the exam, and 8 days from passing the exam to issuance of the license. The Bureau processed 224 renewals in the first quarter and 204 in the second quarter of 2023 for a total of 428. And the processing timeline on renewals for the first quarter was 13 days and the second quarter was 11 days. Moving on to enforcement, the Bureau received 86 complaints during that 6-month timeline. The Bureau closed 82 complaints during that time, and you can see the breakdown of the fiscal years that those complaints were initiated. The average days to close a complaint were 146, and on December 31st, 2023, the Bureau had 79 pending complaints. that were still open, and you can see the breakdown of how old those complaints are. The Bureau issued 15 citations and initiated 2 cases with the Attorney General's office. So moving on to outreach events, I had the pleasure of meeting with the conservator work group from the California Elder and Disability Justice Coordinating Council. The work group is chaired by our awesome chairwoman, Bertha Sanchez Hayden. I was able to introduce them to the Bureau and provide information on the work the Bureau does and to field questions that they had. There are no upcoming outreach events on the Bureau's calendar, but if you learn of any events that the Bureau should consider attending, please email us. The newsletter, so the newsletter generally goes out twice a year. The last one went out in December, just after our last meeting, and the June newsletter is now in progress. The newsletters are disseminated to the interested parties list and posted to the Bureau's website. If there's something specific that you would like to see in the newsletter, please email our office. Website updates. So unfortunately, I don't have as much of an update as I would have hoped today, especially after the very thoughtful insight and advice we received from Ms. Ichikawa and from the public regarding the applicant page. We are currently working on multiple updates to the website, not just to the application page, but the education page and the how-to videos. And I hope to have a much better update for the advisory committee in June with some finished updates. So for bill implementation, we are continuing to implement AB 1194. We are through the fee increase regulation, and then we are now in the process of, we are very close to listing the position for recruitment. And we have had several enforcement cases related to AB 1194, including some attorney general's costs, so we'll continue to track that. For AB 1262, which was our sunset bill from last year, we updated some internal processes and templates. We will likely be promulgating some regulations related to that bill, and of course, advising licensees about the changes to the law via the newsletter and the interested parties list. So the Bureau has finished its continuing education audit. It's all wrapped up now. As I noted at the last meeting, the Bureau had asked 41 licensees to provide proof of their continuing education coursework. We finished reviewing the responses and have responded to each licensee to let them know whether they provided sufficient evidence or if we issued them a citation. The Bureau plans to conduct another CE audit in the fall. And in the meantime, we'll definitely be directing some of our outreach efforts to educating licensees about the continuing education requirements. So implementation of the new application and renewal fees. So the fee increase for applications and initial licenses, as you know, went into effect January 1, 2024. And the fee increase for renewals has started with licenses that expire on March 31st. So in addition to promulgating the regulations, which was a big lift, there's quite a bit of work that occurs after the regulations are approved. Bureau staff worked really closely with the department to ensure that its IT systems would generate initial license and renewal notices with the correct amounts, that the IT systems would then determine that the correct amounts were received prior to issuing or renewing a license, and of course, generating notices to applicants and licensees in the event of an underpayment. Most of that work is finished now. The Bureau, of course, is working very closely with the Budget Office to carefully track how the fee increase impacts the Bureau's revenues. So for the regulatory update, at this time, the Bureau is not actively promulgating any regulations. While this is usually a standalone agenda item, I decided to fold it into the Bureau Chief update. There are potentially 2 regulatory packages on the horizon, and I anticipate having a more robust update for you at the June meeting. And then finally, the strategic plan. So again, instead of having a standalone item for the Bureau strategic plan, I folded this into the Bureau Chief update. The Bureau continues to slowly chip away at the strategic plan, Most notably, the Bureau is close to beginning the recruitment process for an enforcement analyst to be able to enforce AB 1194. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get some quality candidates to apply. I just received word yesterday that the State Archives has approved the Bureau's retention schedule. And so this was a big project that we worked on that will hopefully reduce the amount of paper in the office, which is something I really look forward to. So that said, I've talked enough. If I'll open it up to any questions from the advisory committee now. All right, talkative bunch today. I will pass it back to you, Chairwoman, to open
Thank
up
you.
for public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief May. May I ask for your assistance in determining if there's anyone on the Sacramento location that would like to provide public comment on this agenda item?
I don't see anyone wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you. May I ask the moderator in your assistance in calling for anyone that would like to provide comment on this, public comment on this agenda item via WebEx?
Absolutely. We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please tap that hand button at the bottom of the screen to raise your hand. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. For our mobile device users, you will need to hit the ellipses button, the ... at the bottom of your screen if you are having trouble finding the hand button. And we have a request for comment. As a reminder, people will be given 2 minutes to speak with a 30-second warning. And as a cautionary, swearing and other foul language, language not constructive to public comment, will be muted. And we are receiving public from Farnez.
Hello, my comment or question is for regarding the agenda number 11 for Ms. May regarding the licensed professional fiduciaries by the Bureau, confirming that according to the sign by Ms. Rebecca May at the court page on their website, signed by Ms. Rebecca May, the Chief of Staff, Fiduciary Bureau, that Bureau is prepared to provide court with confidential document on licensing as required in business and professional code section 6534 once the information is being asked by the court. Is this correct? Ms. May? Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
She's not
the
responding.
Bureau does provide information to the courts upon request.
Thank you. So you cannot even, you can answer that this is not a criminal court and you're not in a witness stand, no need for your attorney to respond it. However, there are documents that the Bureau has refused to provide to the court, the confidential information, which was subpoenaed to the Bureau. We have those documents, but
This
what
is legal. Moderator, could you please mute the mic? The comment section is, or the comment provision is supposed to be for items that are on the agenda. And currently we are speaking of the update, but also as discussed in the beginning, individual case information shall not be discussed at this meeting. Moderator may reopen the microphone.
All right.
I didn't set any name. I'm just saying this is a comment I make regarding what it says in the documents, what it says in the website, and what is Bureau's preaching. It doesn't work with the action that's supposed to take place. This is a comment that I have regarding
30
agenda
seconds.
11. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we're going to take a quick look around. That was our only request for comment. Do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you, moderator, and thank you to those who provided public comment. We will now transition to item number 12, or I don't believe it's item number 12 on our agenda, future agenda items. Rebecca, what items have you recorded from our meeting today for consideration for inclusion on a future agenda?
Thank you. So in my notes, I have a request from you, from our Miss Sanchez Hayden, to include AB 2800 in the next legislative update. And then I think that's it.
Thank you, Chief May. Are there any other items the committee members would like to add? As there's no comments from the committee, I would like to invite members of the public attending the meeting in Sacramento to provide comments about this agenda item. Chief may I ask, is there anyone present in the room that would like to provide public comment?
I don't see anyone indicating that they'd like to provide public comment.
Thank you. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from any individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are open for public comment on future agenda items. If you, excuse me, future agenda items, if you would like to make a comment, please raise that hand by tapping the hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. And as a reminder for our mobile device users, if you are having trouble finding that hand button, please use the ... the ellipses button at the bottom of your screen to find the appropriate page with a hand button. Looking around, I see no request for public comment. Do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. In our next, and thank you, Chief May, for keeping track of future agenda items. In our next agenda item, we will now be discussing future meeting dates. The following dates have been scheduled for this year: Wednesday, June 12th, 2024, Wednesday, September 11th, 2024, Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. Are there any comments from the committee members? Chief, may I ask your assistance in identifying whether there's any members of the public in the meeting in Sacramento who would like to provide public comment on this agenda item?
I don't see anyone attending here in Sacramento wishing to provide public comment.
Thank you. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments from any individuals attending this meeting via WebEx.
We are once again open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. And once again, for our mobile device users, if you are having trouble finding that hand button, please tap the ... the ellipses button. You have 3 different pages and only one of them has a hand button. Looking around, I see no request for public comment. Do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. The last item on our agenda is adjournment. I'd like to thank everybody for their participation today, and this meeting is adjourned at 11:06 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.